Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Hello everybody at home and welcome to Houselights, House of Johnston, specifically Joe Johnston, and tonight is the night where we roll the dice and we're talking about 1995's Jumanji. Not the one starring The Rock, but the original, starring the one and only Robin Williams. And I am your co-host, Tristan Riddell, and with me, as they always are, is John Mills and Darren Moser. I am super excited to talk about tonight because Johnston has been a trip down memory lane for me. And it's hard to explain, but so like these movies so far, you're just like, man, I had forgotten how much I love these movies. Like you genuinely forget how much of a good time they are. And I know I'm giving myself away, but that's how I felt with Jumanji. Like this one was something that I watched all the time as a kid. I went and saw it in the theater as a kid with my family. And Darren, I want to know, like, what was the first time you saw this? Was it on VHS? Was it on TV? Did you get to go to the theater? What was it?
Oh yeah, 95. So I would have been. Yeah, no, we probably saw this in theaters, but this is the kind that would be in the giant like plastic clamshell case VHS. And yeah, this one, what I want to talk about more was showing it to my kids. So my kids are now old enough that I could scar them with this movie like I was. So no, this movie is actually really intense. There's a lot going on, but
okay. I want to interject real quick. So you call this intense, like you scar your children, you call this intense. So, Ebert said that this movie shouldn't have been marketed as a family-friendly film because it's too scary, and Robin Williams himself didn't show it to his kids because it was too scary. Was it? Like John, Darren, do you guys think it was too scary?
I wouldn't say it's scary. It's not a scary movie. That's why I said intense, because there are parts where you're just like, you're not, as a kid, you're not sure if the kids are going to make it. And that can be, rather intense. So it's an intense movie, not a bad movie, not a scary movie, but but I do see what Ebert is saying, where it's not to quote, Chronicles of Narnia, it's not a tame movie.
Yeah, I don't agree with Ebert's stance on this one. God rest his soul. I think Ebert had a tendency at times to overreact to things like this. It's not the first time. There were a couple of different movies in his career where he would talk about them, and he was justifiably outraged that kids would have been in the theater while he was watching it. And it's like, hey, Roger,
somebody think of the children.
Yeah, you might be a little out of touch here, Raj. You might want to just calm down there a minute, because I obviously, we know I'm the old man of the group. I saw this in the theater as well. Would I even think twice about showing this to my kids? My kids would get freaked out by parts of it, but the same parts I'd get freaked out by, because those spiders are awful. They're terrible. Those things gave me nightmares. I hate spiders as a rule. Like, I am paralyzed afraid of spiders. Like, it took years to get to the point where I could go up to and smush a spider that was smaller than my thumbnail. Like, that was years of psyching myself out. I see a big enough spider now. Like, just for context, there was a time where we went on a family trip, and it was like, oh, we're going to go, hey, we could go kayaking. And I used my youngest as a get out of jail free card. I was like, oh no, she's too young because I read up on the kayaking adventure, and they're like, oh, you're going to go through these mangrove fields and there are banana spiders. I was like, nope, hard pass. Look up banana spiders, kids. They're harmless, quote unquote, but no. So that's the intense part of the movie, right? Like, I wouldn't want, my kid might see that and be like, oh, but like, the monkeys aren't
turning into
him.
a monkey. Like, that's kind of,
I think sans spiders. Yeah, I think sans spiders, this would be, you could show this to any kid, honestly, in my opinion. If it wasn't for the spiders, especially that close-up shot where they cut to the close-up with the fangs and the
and it's dripping. Yeah, that's a bit much.
Why they're always wet? It's like, I feel like Ridley Scott ruined everything for us with villains and like bad creatures because of what he did with Alien, where they're always wet, they're always dripping, they're always drooling.
Yes. I agree with that assessment, actually. It's the Alien effect. Everything's always got to be drooling all the time.
I mean, do spiders even salivate? Nobody knows. We'll never know. But one thing we do know is that this movie has a lot of joy in it. And I want to get this, I want to attack this right off the bat. Robin Williams is so full of joy with so many movies that he does. And there was a lot of concern from Johnston himself about casting Robin Williams. But I think the production company was like, we'll give you the money if you get Robin Williams. And Johnston was like, I don't know if I want Robin Williams because he tends to improvise a lot. And this is a tight script. Like, we have a lot of motivation. We have like this, we got to get from point A to point B to point C to point D. And if he's jumping all over the place, how are we going to do that? And Robin Williams understood that. Like he sat down with
understood
the director.
The assignment.
Yeah, like he understood that. He's like okay, like I'll improvise when it's appropriate. And apparently, most of the time, his improvisational scenes was with Bonnie Hunt, like when they were riffing and going back and forth and everything like that. So I want to know, like, there was a lot of people in contention or thought of. I mean, like, I'm not even go through the list because every movie is like,
it's like everyone in the kitchen sink. This list, it's ridiculous.
It's absurd.
Arnold Schwarzenegger's on the list, and I'm like, no.
You mean the guy from Kindergarten Cop?
Yeah, okay, that's true. There's your
So, Darren, what did you think of Robin Williams in this role? Because he doesn't show up until like the half an hour mark. What did you think about the vibe that he brought?
No, I think, I mean, man, you're right in that Hook era. It's a hair's breadth from his role, really, as Pan. Like, there is a lot of similarity in, maybe he was stuck in Neverland instead of the jungle for, 20 something years. But no, I think he pulled it off in portraying a grown-up kid. I mean, if you think about it, it totally makes sense as Robin Williams because you're going for a grown-up kid that wasn't raised by adults for the majority of his life, and that is Alan Parrish. And so, and then you get, but he's also strong enough to carry the dramatic parts, to carry the character growth, the revelation as the story progresses. So it's one of those roles I can't picture anyone else doing it. Anyone from the 90s or today, I'm sorry, Lance, you're not going to be Alan Parrish when we get to that part of the podcast.
John, with Robin Williams, there's so many times when people feel like they have to match his energy or they have to like rise up to that or like be goofy or go crazy. Like there's so many times you feel like uneven things going up and down all over the place with the Robin Williams picture because people want to compete with him. I personally don't think this was the case. What did you think of his interaction with the kids, interaction with Bonnie Hunt, David Alan Grier? How did you feel how the cast blended together?
I think they blended fine. I think that you can sense that Williams is much more under control, quote unquote, in this movie. And I think that aside from it being a, like you said, tight script and everything, this is a groundbreaking scale for effects, for these types of effects at the time. So Johnston would have been petrified that Williams would have moved too much because we're not in the Michael Bay. Things are transforming while they're going 700 miles per hour and things are flying by and you can't even tell what's going on the screen while the camera is circling around and then, craning up and then zooming down into the chest cavity of a giant robot or something like that. This is, I have to lock the camera in position and move it specifically, 25 centimeters this way so that the plate can match exactly what's being generated in the computer because that's going to take a lot of processing time. That's where we're at.
I always think about what Bob Hoskins said with a behind-the-scenes featurette with Roger Rabbit.
Yeah,
when he said he's like, listen, when I grab the rabbit by the throat, if I separate my fingers, they have to draw his throat in between the fingers. But if I close my fingers, I just save them $10,000.
Yep.
It's one of those things.
He's
like
a team player.
This is one of those movies. Yeah.
And Robin Williams is such a professional in the industry by this point. Of course, he's going to understand the assignment. The director is going to say, hey, there are these considerations, and your Juilliard student, Robin Williams, will say, yes, I got you, boss. I got you. But he does still bring a very important energy to it. And I think his interaction with the kids very much carries that sort of necessary energy. Robin Williams's true gift on screen was the ability to interact with children, never upstage them, and never let them upstage him. W.C. Fields hated kids on screen. Robin Williams knew how to be a kid on screen so that we never felt he was overshadowing those children. I think he gave a true, and this is going to sound too far over, but I mean this in the best sense I can. He gave a true actor's performance here because he was part of a group and he was giving to the other actors as much as receiving from them. And so I think this is one of his, an actor of Robin Williams' stature, especially in family films by this point, could have been very selfish with everything. It's about me. And instead you see an actor saying, no, it's about the movie. I want the whole production to do well. And so I think this is one of his better performances in the 90s, honestly, on those merits.
Yeah, he could have pulled a Stallone and, made it all about him.
Yes. Yeah. The Cobra cut of Jumanji would have been very interesting. Yeah.
Now, Darren, I have an affinity for David Allen Greer. He makes me laugh. I'm sorry. He does. I don't care what anybody else thinks of him or his style of comedy, but I lose it every single time he loses it. I want to know what you thought of him in the movie, because he's kind of the fish out of water scenario. Like, he's the one who is reacting to all this craziness. Like, you have Williams, you have Hunt, you have the kids, and they're in the thick of it. And David Allen Greer, or Dag, is very much on the outside of it, along with BB Newirth. So with Dag freaking out, was it too much? Not enough? Just right? What did you think of that? Because he brings an absurdity to it. Like, this movie is already chaotic. Like, this is the definition of chaos. But how did you feel about Dag reacting to it?
No, I think he nailed it, because not only is he kind of playing a dual role where he's, part of the shoemaking business. So we saw him, in the past and in the present. But yeah, in these kind of movies, you need that kind of everyman who's reacting to what he's seeing in a realistic way, because they're not kind of in the plot. They're just in the collateral of what's going on. And, when his car's getting stolen or, pulled in by the vines, he reacts like a normal person. He's like, this is like supernatural. This is not normal. This doesn't happen. Instead of like, I wonder if somebody's playing a game or some, crazy thing it's like, no. Like, he's reacting how we would react. And yeah, he has, like you said, a way of dialing it to 11 that is so funny, where he's just wigging out and you're just along for the ride.
When he's seeing the gator go by, and you just like see like he has calm on his face as it goes in front of him, and then as soon as it's off screen, he's just like can't handle it.
I too have a soft spot for David Allen Greer. The first time I was aware of seeing him was on the show In Living Color, and he was terrific then. I love the fact that his real start was during the Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back radio dramas for National Public Radio. He is a nameless X-Wing pilot in both of them, I think. But he just does background voices and everything. And I agree. He's got a natural screen presence that's so effortless that you, as an audience member, you give him permission to go up to 11, because he's starting at an 8. Like, the energy he brings just coming on screen, he has this. And there are certain actors where they have this sort of thing where it's like, there's just this, it's different than what Robin Williams brings. Robin Williams brings sort of like a firecracker unpredictability sort of energy with him. Whereas a David Allen Greer, he comes on screen and you just immediately feel like a giggle. You're like, oh, this is going to be silly, right? And I know he's also done dramatic work, and he's obviously very capable of it as an actor. But when he's in his comedic roles, it's always a joy. I've always been happy to see him. I was really happy to see him in this. So
Did you guys ever see the 2000 movie that was actually directed by Bonnie Hunt called Return to Me? It was
No.
starring David
Yeah.
Duchovny.
We watched
That's the one
it
about
all
the heart,
time.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was starring David Duchovny.
One of my
and
wife's
Minnie
favorite
Driver.
movies. We watch it. Oh, I've seen that movie many, many times. Really good movie.
It's a really solid movie. We should do a one-off House of Hunt, just so we can talk about the movie.
And David Allen Greer was on her. There was like an ABC sitcom, Life with Bonnie, that lasted for like 2 seasons.
So
and he
they
was on
must
that.
have a friendship. Like they must
Yeah.
have a connection because, like they worked
Or
on
maybe
this
they
together.
met here because
Yeah,
I don't know,
it's
I don't know
quite.
if the
That's why I
sitcom
brought
came
it up.
after, but
Yeah, because it's quite possible that they came together at this time. So I do want to talk about Jonathan Hyde real quick since we're on the cast. Now, Darren, did you have any idea that Jonathan Hyde played 2 roles in this movie?
you know the answer to this as we spoke before. You're trying to set me up. No, I got maybe it's just such good makeup and mustaches and the hat, but I did not recognize him as Van Pelt as well as the father. Maybe also because he's he doesn't have a lot of screen time like in either role. He's like barely on screen. So I thought it was cool that it was kind of a Peter Pan-esque. The father is the trauma, in a dual role. But you choose to mock me, sir, and we'll just go with that.
Yeah, because I'm sorry, but I was 9 in the theater and I was like, oh, cool. They did like a Peter Pan thing.
I was looking at the rhinos, okay? I could talk to you about Sneezy the Rhino if you want. I know all about him.
Now, see, this is the one thing where I'll throw it because and to his credit, the actor in just 2 years was going to appear in both Titanic and Anaconda, and then later in 1999's delightful romp, The Mummy. For me, I hear his voice or I see his eyes, and I'm like, I instantly know who that is, sort of thing. No matter how much you bury him under, right? Just like when I'm watching Mrs. Doubtfire, if I look at Robin Williams' eye, I mean, the facial structure too, but like you can tell, in there and everything. But I think that this is actually one part where I'm going to sort of pseudo ding the movie a little bit, where it trips on itself here, where they go back to the factory and you find out the father was so distressed about Alan's disappearance that, he lost his fortune, went searching off, died of a broken heart sort of thing. And then it goes back and it's like, and then he's the hunter. And it's like the resolution for the audience has already happened. And there doesn't feel like there's it telegraphs it too early. Like, once I have that scene, I get what they're going for with, his dad is the hunter teaching him to face his fears. That's where you get your 1-to-1. But we as the audience have already resolved that about the dad. We know who he was really inside, instead of having a moment later, whether it's in the game or something like that, where he stands up to him and the hunter's like, that's all I was looking for, son. Like a moment like that, if you will. And I would actually, I don't know how you resolve that necessarily, outside of like rewriting some stuff, but it's one of those things where it's never really particularly worked well for me, because that earlier scene, the audience doesn't have to go through that emotional journey. We've already gotten to the end of it, and then we go through this chase, and it's like, oh, well, I already know that the dad loves him for real.
That's interesting. I can't really argue with that. But at the same time, I never really thought of it that way. Like it never bothered me. Like it didn't stick out to me, because I feel like it's one of those things where it's the journey of the protagonist where the protagonist has to figure it out himself. And I think that's kind of what we established, because I feel like, when your kid is gone, it's easier to say that you always loved them, because there's no effort to it. Like there's no work that's involved. Like you love somebody that's not there, there's no work. It's one-sided. But when you love somebody that's in front of you, it takes work. It takes effort and time and stuff that he struggled with. So I think maybe that's why I kind of qualified it. But again, I'm not saying that that's not a flaw, but I that's interesting. I never really thought of that before. Now, Darren, we have some really great female performances in this movie. We have Patricia Clarkson in a thankless role, as Carol Parrish, Alan's mom. And we have Bebe Neuwirth, who is fantastic in every single thing she does and is a stone cold fox. And we have Kirsten Dunst, who is on fire in the 90s.
Star Trek: The Next Generation's Kirsten Dunst?
Yeah, that one. She's on fire in the 90s. She's doing everything. She, I think, gets a little sidelined in this movie. Like, I feel like watching this, like, as opposed to other things that she's been in, where she's a big focus, she kind of plays second fiddle to her brother, who becomes the monkey and, has the relationship issues with Alan and everything like that. And then, of course, we have Bonnie Hunt. I want to know, do you feel like Bonnie Hunt kind of delivered next to Robin Williams? Because I personally feel like they had a great Arrested Development thing going on, where Williams was a kid emotionally because he was raised in the jungle by himself. And then Bonnie Hunt was kind of a kid because she was stunted early on from having that traumatic event. How did you think about the pairing?
No, I think, to answer kind of both questions, I think Bonnie Hunt and Robin Williams played off each other really well. Like you had stated, when the fact that he could improvise a bit in those scenes, those are really kind of the only scenes that works, because otherwise they're in like peril. I think my favorite scenes are when he's convincing her, like at the very beginning. Not the beginning when she's young, but the beginning when he's back out of the game and he's got to convince her to play. I think those are the most dynamic of the scenes. Later, when she comes around, it's less interesting because she doesn't need to be convinced over and over to play the game. But to your other point on Kristen Dunst kind of being overshadowed by, the brother Peter, it has kind of a Chronicles of Narnia vibe of like Susan. Like Susan's always like the plain one, and the adventure doesn't really happen to Susan. It happens to all the other kids, and they have the interaction with Mr. Tumnus, or they, meet Aslan, or all this. And so she is just kind of the older sister, and that's kind of the tone. Yeah, I think that they give her character, for better or worse. I don't think it's bad, because it definitely feels like she and her brother are in it together. But yeah, there's almost too many cooks at one point there's only 4 players, but what do you think, John? Do you think she gets sidelined like that?
He just gave it a questionable.
Wait, John, what do you say? What do you say? You gotta.
Hello, Fry. It's a pleasure to meet you. I think that I don't think Dunst gets overshadowed. I think that what happens is that you have just too much going on. At one point, nobody gets enough time at a certain point. Like once we get into the last stretch of the movie, there's just so much happening. There aren't enough moments for anybody. And so I think it sort of erases some of the goodwill you build up beforehand. I think that there's just too much they're trying to tie up. And does more screen time get away with it? Does that solve it? Yeah, maybe another couple of minutes with somebody having the brother sister having a couple more minutes together and those sorts of things. Because I think early on in the film, she and the brother are definitely co-stars of the storyline, because they, she's the inventive one telling lies about what happened in their lives. And then, he's the quiet boy, but then he talks to her when they're alone together and everything. And I think that the issue here is, I think it was a very fair criticism of the critics at the time, that I think the focus was so much on making sure those effects worked because of the money at stake and the groundbreaking nature of what they were doing, that I think as a result, you have a director too focused on the technical than on the personal. And I think that's what happens to the character. I think that's what happens to all of the characters by the end of it, is that it resolves nicely enough, but it's one of those things where you get the sense of the movie. I was older, keep in mind, but as somebody who was older in the audience, I never felt particularly connected to the characters. I might have been wowed by the effects on screen from time to time. I might have gotten swept up in different aspects of it because it's up there on the big screen and I'm sitting in the audience. But there was never a point where I really felt like I connected with those characters, or I really understood what they were going on. They're more living set pieces moving through the CG jungle of effects, as it were, including some just wonderfully animated monkeys.
Yeah,
it just
I knew
looked
you were going to talk about the monkeys.
perfectly photorealistic even back in 1995. I remember sitting there going, my gosh, did they train real monkeys to do this movie?
Hey, we know the monkeys look bad. They didn't look that great.
So, okay, the spiders, the pitcher plants, the vines, the lion. Yeah.
Which was a mix. Some was CG.
Yeah, it was a
some
mix.
puppet.
Yeah, like the
smart
stampede.
mix.
The stampede, I think, was the pièce de résistance. Like that part
All fantastic.
looked completely real.
Joey hated the stampede. He thought it looked dumb.
Dang it,
Just
Joey.
saying.
I
Just
knew.
throwing it out there.
I knew.
Freaking Joey.
Yeah.
But like, I like what you said though, John, about room for character growth, because really the last moment of growth was kind of when Peter realizes I shouldn't have cheated and moves past that. And then after that, it's literally buckling up till the end of the movie. Like there's no pause to the die has been cast, and these are the characters we're going to get through the rest of the film, and they're rushing towards the finish line. So yeah, there's or to bring it to its sequel, which I mean isn't the topic, but you know, Jumanji, was it Enter the Jungle? Yeah.
Welcome to the jungle.
Welcome to the Jungle. In that one, because you're in the jungle and it's just the four characters. I mean, yeah, there's the side characters, but it's way more focused on them and their peril. So you there's so much going on in the first Jumanji movie because it's the plot of bringing the jungle into our world, which is cool. It's a really cool technique. I mean, the splitting of the house and all of that is fantastical, but
that was so much fun. The splitting of the house specifically, that looks so cool.
It looked, better than the monkeys. So, but all that to say, I think we're all kind of on the same page that is one of the weaker aspects of the movie is the largeness of the cast or the scatteredness of the plot. Like,
see, this is the sort of thing where, and it wasn't in vogue back then, but this is the sort of thing where I think that if this version of Jumanji were made today, they would have had, like I forget their name right now, the brothers who did Endgame, the Russo brothers. You'd have a brother team, right? Or some sort of combo team working on it where one person is sitting there and they're like, okay, I'm going to go work with the actors. You go talk to the cameraman and the DP and you talk about where the camera needs to move. I'm going to get the motivations out of them. And then this really feels like a movie that would have benefited from
Is that
duo.
how they work? Is that how the Russo brothers work?
I have no idea. I'm just presuming that they do.
remember, it's a fictional future where the Russo brothers work.
I'm saying the Russo brothers were the only ones that I could bring to mind of like, I think a duo would have worked better for this incarnation of Jumanji because of the fact that, I mean, it is easy to forget, even though the monkeys look terrible, exactly how hard they were pushing the envelope with this movie. Like, you look at this and you're like, oh, that looks kind of dated. It's like, you don't understand, right?
This
like
is
this,
95, folks.
it's
this
2
was
years after Jurassic Park.
And Jurassic Park had the benefit of a couple of things: dinosaurs and shooting in the jungle and night scenes and all of this type of stuff. This is broad daylight, elephants walking on a car and lions jumping around and giant mosquitoes and stuff like that. This was literally 2 years later saying, okay, well, Jurassic Park broke that limit. We're just going to absolutely trash it. It really is a very bold experiment. My question is, like, I know Johnston has shown he has the pedigree for the technical stuff, but what really makes Jurassic Park sing is Spielberg was very much in his, he was still very much in the feelings with the actors and stuff like that. So, I mean, maybe my whole argument about a duo is shot down. You just needed a Spielberg who was, gonna
Oh
get
yeah,
that type
you
of
just
thing.
need the most
Just
famous,
sprinkle
most
in a little
talented
Spielberg in your mix.
Yeah,
I
you just,
mean, I mean somebody so accomplished at it and has been doing this for so long that, like, when he says, oh, I want to do this, everybody's like, oh yeah, sure. No, we know exactly what you're saying, as opposed to, I have a feeling that Johnston might have been just, ready for it, yes, but there's no way this isn't overwhelming. Like you're really behind the 8 ball from the beginning with this movie because it's really, really, really pushing the boundaries.
And if those effects don't work, like half your shots are gone. Like you have no story.
Right.
If the elephant doesn't come out and squash if none of that comes together, you're done. It's not getting released.
And that's why Joey didn't like the movie. Is those shots, none of those shots came together.
Joey.
So I'm
Joey
just saying.
Such a killjoy.
I know. Tell me about it. I've known him for many years. That's an accurate way. And he occasionally might listen to the show. So Joey, here's looking at you, babe. There you go.
I want to have a sound effect whenever we're disappointed in Joey.
Price is Right fail horn. That's the
one. Okay, so we've pointed out a few things that work, few things that don't, and obviously the monkeys. I'm probably going to make that the artwork.
Oh, absolutely no other choice.
Only choice you have. This episode is the monkey. One thing that really impressed me was the pacing of this film. And I would love to know what you guys think about that, because I really feel like, like so many movies feel like set piece to set piece to set piece. And that, to be fair, that's what this movie is, set piece to set piece. But there was the emotional connection along the way. And it felt like an appropriate 1995 CGI fun fest that moves you along. I can't think of a single thing that I would cut. Maybe that's my question. Pacing wise, Darren, is there anything that you would cut? Is there anything that you would remove? Or do you think the pacing is good enough?
The only thing I think about is, because it's constructed well enough that you kind of need all of it. Like maybe there's a little you could trim in the past section in the very beginning. Like there's a lot of time spent getting to know young Alan, and that is not who we end up spending the majority of the movie with. So there's a little bit of like, you have to maybe it's a little misbalanced in my mind, like maybe 10 minutes less of the past young Alan to give us more present Alan that we're going to actually connect with. But you're really just fine tuning the dials at that point, because you do need you need to make that connection with the plight of the character. Otherwise you aren't going to care that he's been stuck in the jungle, because it's literally going to be like new person, new actor playing this character. Oh, I've been stuck in the jungle. It's like, well, great. I don't know who you are. Like we've all seen these movies where you have two actors play, different ages of a character. And that's where I would maybe take a little bit out of the front, because I think they made the point very quickly on how his parents are, how he's feeling. And so any extra minutes there, this movie's 104 minutes long. It's not very long, but to like what you said, Tristan, it doesn't feel like a breakneck pace. Maybe like the last bit, but that's the climax of the movie. It's supposed to feel like that. What'd you think, John? Where's what's ending up on the cutting room floor?
I don't know. Because of the fact that, in all honesty, some of the stuff without the effects, I enjoy more than some of the stuff with the effects. I like building Alan's character. I like that you see a lot of what he's going through. I like that you establish what it was like to be a boy like him in that time period. You very much feel like Johnston understands what Alan's going through in some sense, even if it wasn't his life story. It's something understandable in a way. And I think that that's good stuff. I don't know what I would cut specifically, because for all of the spectacle that it has, it's almost a blessing that it's that restrained, because when the effects get a little easier to do later down the road, a movie like this easily balloons because they fall in love with how much they can put in each shot. And they're like, oh, no, push it. No, we'll ship this shot overseas. Let's insert some more elephants and stuff like that. Oh, they don't need that much detail. Just insert some background monkeys back there. That sort of thing. So I think that the benefit of it is, even if you don't love Jumanji, it's over quickly enough that you don't ever run the risk of hating Jumanji. If this movie goes too long, there's going to be a lot of hate for this movie. as opposed, especially the younger demo that it's going for. You got to, they're getting antsy at the end of 104 minutes. That's sort of a limit there that you got to target.
That's a really solid point. Yeah, I think, oh man, that is something that I'm going to sound like an old man here, but I feel like they don't make movies like this anymore. Like they don't make family movies and I feel like family movie turned into kids movie. Like, no, like I'm talking about a family movie where the adults and the kids would enjoy it together, not just something that the adults can put up with for an hour and a half. And this is in 95, this is a family film. This is something where, parents and 2.5 kids can go to the theater and get the experience that they want, the entertainment that they want. And it's none of that 2.5 hour BS that's been shoved down our throats for the past 10 years. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I just I feel like God, dang it, I missed the 90s where just this is a CGI fest. It's an adventure film. It's 1995. It's short and it's fun. You can bring grandma and you can bring your 5-year-old.
I think that is the largest reason why Johnston would have made the most sense for a movie like this is if you're trying to make a movie like this, you look at Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and you look at The Rocketeer and you go, oh yeah. No, he gets what we're going for here. And this is very much in his wheelhouse in almost every respect. I would just like to welcome you, Tristan, to the Old Man Club at this point, because you really do sound like a Gen Xer at that point, where it's like, they just don't make movies like this anymore. Joey hates it, but everybody else loves it. So why can't everybody else watch this movie? Why can't they make more movies like Jumanji?
Like I'm the youngest one of the group, but I'm getting there. I'm starting to get a little rickety as I move around. So I move my shoulders and my knees.
There you go. You can hear the pops and crackles as he moves his shoulders demonstrably. We'll fix that in post, though, so that's okay.
So, Darren, I have a loose question for you. So, this was shot in Keene, New Hampshire, and the Paris Shoes sign is still on the factory building. And when Robin Williams was so beloved by Keene that they gave him the keys to the city because he was Robin Williams. He entertained everybody, he talked with extras, he talked with people around the town. He was like an ambassador for the movie. And when he died, they had a makeshift memorial underneath the sign for Pair of Shoes, and they had a showing of Jumanji around it. And I've already forgotten my question. I think my question was...
It's beautiful. It's just all that is beautiful.
I don't even have a question. I just want to talk about that. Like, it's my heart aches every single time I watch a Williams movie.
No, he's a favorite son of that community. I can totally see that. And especially because of his death and the tragedy of that, that's human nature to gather to touchstones like that of like, oh, that's where he stood. That's where he brought us laughter. And it's a place where people can leave flowers and leave notes and leave probably some VHS cassettes of Jumanji. And that's just human nature. We love doing that when we're mourning. So that's a good part of the story of Jumanji, because it's been, or is it almost time for, guys, it's going to be what, 30th anniversary in 25. Am I right there? Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yep.
I am going to join the old man group.
You get past it. Don't worry. The movies I love are celebrating their 40th and 50th anniversaries. Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
No big deal. Yes, hey, I'm the same age as The Godfather Part 2. So, that's pretty good. It's pretty good. And The Conversation and Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Black Christmas. I mean, come on. That's a pedigree right there.
Top Gun and Voyage Home for me.
And Transformers the movie. I mean, please don't sleep on the true classic of that bunch. Thank you very much. I think that I would love to go to a place like Keene, New Hampshire that respects and understands like their claim to fame, as it were. Like, what a cool thing to be like, no, we're going to preserve this. because there are going to be people that will come to our town and they will be delighted to see, oh yeah, that was from Jumanji. Like I like places that respect and understand those important cultural touchstones that people have. Like it's always nice to, like, I took the boat tour of Chicago, and of course they were very sure to point out, I was like, well, in Batman Begins, right over there, and in The Dark Knight, right over there, and you're like, oh, hey, I'm seeing a historical town, but Batman was here too.
What about Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen? Right?
I'm not going to show that as much love as I showed Transformers, the movie from 1986. I'm just going to say that.
Jeez,
So,
I remember when they were filming that. That was such a pain in the ass living in Chicago.
The giant robots flying around had to be difficult.
Now, so many god dang helicopters. So many helicopters buzzing my apartment.
Hold for sound. Hold for set. Hold. Just want to interview this guy. Well, there's 55 helicopters in the skyline right now.
It sounds like Saigon in 1975.
Yeah, and Michael Bay was the last chopper out.
Fitting somehow.
All right.
Yeah.
We haven't gone too long on this, but I feel like before we wrap up, we need to talk about the music. Horner, Jumanji. Obviously, he added some flutes. This was
here or there. There were a few.
This was pre-Avatar. Drums, flutes. Yeah, Horner was your guy. Darren, what do you think? Where does this rank on the Horner scale?
Yeah, I was just looking up, trying to think like around this era. I mean, it's funny because I know we talked about it last week with The Rocketeer, but I was re-listening again to the Rocketeer soundtrack, and I'm like, dear God, is this Wrath of Khan with a with a motif added to it? Like, it is like 90% Wrath of Khan and like 10%. Oh yeah, Rocketeer. Da, 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 da. This though was better balanced. I think it was, catchy, and there wasn't a lot of jungle noise. We all know those specific instruments they play when we're in the jungle. It's like, no, we're the jungle's coming to us. But yeah, it's a fantasy movie. It really is, and I think he captured it really well. So I mean, you can't go wrong with Horner. It's one of the greats.
I think it's a mid-tier Horner, in all honesty, because I have it pulled up here and I'm looking at it. But when you're talking about the guy that did, Field of Dreams and Braveheart and Star Trek II and good Lord, Apocalypto, and even the main theme on Willow, and like that, those are like the top tier Horner. And of course, you got Aliens, okay. But like you have all of that stuff. And then Jumanji is a good score, but it's not a score where I hear it and I'm like, oh, that's a Horner. I hear it and I'm like, that's a serviceable score,
Yeah,
I feel like
the year this came out, Apollo 13 takes the cake. That is the gem of 1995 for Horner.
That's why Tom Hanks couldn't be Alan Parrish in this movie. No joke.
Just wouldn't have worked. It's good that it was Williams.
To be fair to Jumanji, a serviceable Horner is probably frickin' Beethoven to most other serviceable scores.
Oh yeah, I know. I apologize if I was coming off as like dismissive. I was saying like, when was
you're
it,
like, oh, is it Braveheart?
Yeah,
Also by Horner in 1995.
Is it one of his Oscar winners or one of the theme songs like Willow that makes me cry when I listen to it? No.
Was it Aliens? No. Was it the time that I bawled my eyes out when he fell in love with his wife for the first time in Braveheart? No, but that's Jumanji.
If I must make do with a score, this one will be fine. Yes, I wasn't meaning to come across as that dismissive.
You are right though. Like, is it Aliens? Is it Braveheart? No, but it's good. It's servable. It gets the job done. No, you're. I'm ragging on you, but you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Okay, so this is the time of the podcast where we talk about Lance Reddick, one of our favorite actors, and it's become habit, tradition, whatever you want to call it, where we take Lance Reddick in any time and we do blind casting and figure out where we would like to put him in the movie. And this is in no disrespect to anybody involved, especially the actor that we're replacing. But this is one of my favorite parts of the episode. I'm going to go first, and I am not going to be racist and replace him with the only black person in the movie.
Fair.
Which would be easy.
Very well done. Very well done.
I would put Lance Reddick in Jonathan Hyde's role with the dad and Van Pelt. I feel like that would be an easy place for him because I feel like he could very much play that elegant but distant individual who's posh but stern at the same time. I think that would work. John, where would you put Reddick?
Same place. That's exactly where I saw him. I could see him playing that dual role really well and accentuating the necessary parts of both of those characters. So I completely agree with you. As much as I love Jonathan Hyde in this,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Again, that's why we always have to say, like, Jonathan Hyde nailed it, did a fantastic job. We're just trying to think where we could put Reddick. Darren, what about you?
Yeah, I was actually thinking the same way. I was almost thinking of splitting it where Van Pelt was not played by the father. Like, I don't think they need to be the same actor, but he could also get double the screen time and also play the father as well. So, I think we're 3 for 3 with this.
Across the board, 3 for 3. Yes. I love it when that happens. That's so fun. All right, folks. Okay, so now is the time when we rank childhood nostalgia and we judge each other for how much we love or hate this film. Darren, because I'm hosting and I love to do this to you, I'm making you go first, as is tradition.
Yeah, it's great tradition. I'm giving this a solid 4. It's a fun movie. I don't watch it as often, even resharing it with my kids. It's hard. I mean, it's not going to top the nostalgia factor that Rocketeer had, and the joy that brought. But, honestly, I would probably, if I had to pick how to spend a Saturday night with a Jumanji movie, I would probably actually go with Welcome to the Jungle, which I think is a better constructed singular story. But yes, I know. But as far as 90s goodness, this movie takes the cake, for its special effects, for balancing, Robin Williams in it, for continuing down, the Joe Johnston train. So I'm giving it 4.
All right.
John Bucephalus Mills, what are you giving this movie?
Well, I didn't love it when it first came out, but I still have a certain nostalgic pull for it. It's very strange because there are some movies where you're not nuts about them and you'll never watch them again, and there are other movies where you're not nuts about them, but there's enough about it that works. And I think you were saying this last week, Tristan, where it's been years since I've seen this, but I remembered every single moment. And I think that is to the movie's credit. I think that's to Johnston's credit, is he obviously makes things that burn themselves into your brain, regardless of whether you love them or not. You can go back decades later, watch a movie, and you're like, I remember everything that happened because of the pacing, because of the shot composition, because of how it comes together, and James Horner's score. And I think that I'm going to wind up with a solid 3 for Jumanji. Not terrific, but it's good.
Joey got to you, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. To you. He bribed you.
No. If Joey had gotten to me, this would have been a 1.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This is a movie that I always forget how much I love. This is a movie that is reeks of nostalgia, and it's so hard for me to be objective with this one because and man, we didn't even talk about the cinematography on this one. I feel like that's been a really solid progression of Johnston, is relying on his cinematographer to do what needs to be done. And I really felt a much more mature filmmaker, not just in the CGI execution, but in the shot selection and how it moves across the screen and how he's able to craft relationships just on the shot selection, specifically between Alan and Peter. And also, speaking of which, Peter's fourth wall break when he needed to find the axe in the woodshed, and he grabs the axe to
open the
break
woodshed.
down to open the woodshed, and then he looks at the camera. That could be my favorite fourth wall break in cinematic history. I lost in the theater as a young lad. I lost it today when I watched it. So I think this shows Johnston's growth from Rocketeer in terms of cinematography, what he can get from the actors, pacing. I think this is better paced than Rocketeer, but I feel like, John, I think you brought me down a little bit, as you do lots of the times, even in our day-to-day life.
It's my superpower.
People don't know this, but John and I talk every day, and you often bring me down to your level.
I make it my mission. I pop out of bed and I'm like, how can I ruin Tristan's life? Don't ask for this noise in your life, Darren. All I will do is make you cry. Trust me.
And so I Rocketeer, I gave 5 stars because
you're waking up. Ding, ding. Is that my alarm? No, it's John texting me at 6 a.m.
More accurate than you realize.
But it's true. The first person who texts me in the morning is John. It's true. Before I'm awake, he's texting me.
This is what sucks about today, Tristan.
Just about to say that. This is why I'm pissed off, and you should be too.
Yep, pretty much. Well, listen, they never should have changed the recipe of McDonald's French fries. Okay, I'm not going to let go of that one.
You guys got a little window into my world.
Personal hell.
Like Rocketeer was 5 stars because it was just it can't be fun enjoyment. And even though I love Jumanji, I really do. There is a few things I feel like we could get a little bit more emotional connection with the characters. I think, John, you were absolutely right about that, and I didn't even realize that until what you said. And so I'm not even going to bring it down a full star. I'm just bringing it a half star. So I'm giving it 4.5 stars. I truly love this movie. I was grinning like an idiot the entire time I was watching it. So I think this is fantastic. I think this is fun, and I'm going to show this to my kids. And I'm going to fast forward I'm going to do the old David Riddell fast forward during the spider part. But other than that, it's going to be solid. So Darren, what are we doing next week?
Well, next week, we're putting the special effects on the back burner as we go to a more personal story in 1999's October Sky here on Houselights.
Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.